We're back doing a recording sesh with all the heroes of humility in full effect, present and accounted for.
Present.
Position, move, ready, begin. Beige, how you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah,
doing well. Yeah.
We'll work on the energy. Red.
Fantastic.
Oh, there you
go.
Fantastic.
All right,
Now,
I'll do better.
We should study reds. It's been a while. We appreciate people listening. We still do exist. I really do think the point at which we get a video camera in here is going to be telling into the behind the scenes debauchery that occurs just in trying to get the podcast ready. Do you guys know what I'm referring to, or?
No idea.
Yeah. Well, I would say that if I was guilty too. I would try to say, I have no idea. I don't know anything. But we came with stories. It's been a while. We hope everybody's doing well. We appreciate you being here. In this one, we're going to be talking about how we try to fabricate things. Now, we did discuss little white lies once before, but in this one, we're going to talk about how we suspend reality enough to make life more comfortable for ourselves, and then how maybe we even start to believe them ourselves. But it's kind of like how you imagine you might do something in a scenario, and because you're a good civil human being, you never actually do it. But I have ideas. You know, there are things that occur to me, and sometimes I imagine, well, what if I just introduced that into a tiny explanation as to why I was late, or why I didn't or did do this, you know? So that was kind of the thing that we thought we might touch on. And if everybody's been good, since we saw you last, we might even do a what would you do at the end of this, as a little reward for, like Santa Claus bringing you a Christmas gift,
Let's do it.
Yeah, so welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Heroes of
humility, 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 humility. Humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. Beige, what have you been selling? You've been trying to sell a house, dude. That's been pretty busy. I was there helping you yesterday.
I don't recommend it, dude. Yeah. Horrendous process.
Is it true what they say? It's one of the most stressful things in life?
Yeah, for sure. I've had some sleepless nights just worrying about all I have to do. And then plus, I'm downsizing right now considerably. So not just the process of selling a house, but going through all of your stuff and like determining what you need and what you don't, really. Like you really have to pare down your life in a lot of ways. I'll look at things and I'll be like, oh, well, I have 3 of this thing that's the same exact thing, but there's like a slight variation. Dude, I don't have room for 3 of this thing anymore. So you have to pick your favorite one and get rid of the other 2. You know what I mean?
That's, yeah. And I don't know how to, I don't know if I can.
Well, yeah, as I sit in this room and it's full of things that really, like 3 Batmans are staring me at in the face right now. But
each one has a different purpose. I mean, what if somebody said, there's too many, I don't need all 5 of these fingers. Or I've had too much of beige. I mean, you can't have too much of that bulletproof suit right there. That's wearing the bat signal.
I mean, it's just like, dude, it's like one of those old paintings, like you see the TV shows and the paintings following you with its eyes.
Yeah,
that's how careful. I feel like Batman is looking at me every time. It's like I'm staring directly into the eyes of Batman as we do this. But no,
it's hard to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. And you just get to the point where it's just, okay, I'd like to sell this or I'd like to donate it. But like you get to a point where it's just like, dude, I just have to throw stuff away.
Yeah, we threw something. Like, I voted for a throwing away incident yesterday because as we were moving it, every time we moved it, something else fell off of it. And I was like, this is beginning to, it's having a point of diminishing returns of its productivity.
Right. And I just told Pierce, I said, look, dude, let's just treat it like an office space situation where we can take our frustrations out on this piece of furniture that's falling apart anyways. Let's just smash it and break it. So
I love how too the decision making process during the moving goes from like being very meticulous and methodical at the beginning, and at the end, well, if we just leave it in the back of the truck while we're driving, that'll help dismantle it so that it'll be easier to throw away. And it just gets into chaos at that point.
Right.
You're just like, well, you're hoping things break so you can throw something else away.
Right, and then I just take a turn at like 50 in the U-Haul, and then it just smashes in the back of the truck, and I'm like, all right, cool. It's
Along
in
with
like
the other
50
bodies.
pieces now. Yeah, you just get to a point where you really just have to pare down your life in a way, you know. And
you have a lot of shoes, dude. You're gonna have to. Are you gonna try to sell those?
Put me on
a
lot
of
blast.
shoes,
dude.
yeah.
This guy's trying to get a deal. He's trying to get a deal
fire
right
sale.
now.
Oh,
You know.
I mean, I'll give you.
He's been eyeing
bucks.
those one shoes. We've mentioned those shoes that I wear a few times, and
Well,
Pierce has some shoe envy, dude.
well,
so
it's
I've
hard
seen.
to envy a smaller shoe size, though.
Oh,
yeah.
there it is.
Dude, I got pretty big feet for my height,
well,
buddy.
that's
Okay,
the
pretty
listening
big.
audience doesn't
Yeah.
know that. That whatever you
Yeah.
say, whatever I say, they could.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right. But
I like it.
no, like,
So-
dude, I'll be honest. I went through my shoes. To pack my shoes was a half a day process.
Damn.
Like, I wanted to be neat about it, you know, at first, and buy like the storage totes and stuff. But dude, I could fit maybe 10 pairs of shoes in each storage tote, and each storage tote's like $10. Okay, I'm going to spend $350 on storage totes. I can't do this.
Wow.
And so what I ended up doing was I just bought hefty trash bags. And I bought a roll of those, and I just started putting
loading
shoes
them
in
up.
trash bags, you know? And I ended up with 15 hefty trash bags full of shoes that I'm keeping.
Oh, that's you're just keeping?
And I ended up with 6 hefty trash bags full of shoes that I donated.
Wow.
That I know I'll just never wear again, that have just been sitting in my closet.
I feel
And I'm
bad
like,
saying this, but I was going to suggest a long time ago that you use the hefty bags for some of your wardrobe.
Oh, damn.
Well, it's because
This
we
is
haven't
the
been
guy,
together in a long
This is the guy
time.
wearing the U of A
Oh,
socks
whoa,
today,
hey, that's
you
secret.
know, that is
Well-
just, I mean, I don't know how you brag about U of A, but I guess.
Well, dude, if you
know,
pay attention to
that's
the
good.
news, I mean,
Right.
but the thing is that we haven't been together for a while, so I apologize. And yesterday, this balances out. All of our friendships balance out because while I might throw in a zinger, there's been a lot of times where Beige has, maybe built up an equity of zingers on me.
I think I genuinely hurt you
Stored 'em
somewhere
up.
along the way, dude.
And now it's coming out.
And now
But
it's
the
coming
thing
out.
is-
It's like this passive aggressive aggression.
But of course, it's all feigned and just in fun because yesterday,
I don't know.
I hate to
the
brag.
tears in my eyes say otherwise.
But, we saved each other. And I mean, I saved you because I just
Wow.
wanted to
look at
make
this.
sure that you were not being taken advantage of by these nasty inspection quotes air conditioning company that was just trying to gauge him, so, and I don't want to spend too much time on that because it makes that vein in your head pop out, but it sucks when you're just trying to sell a house, all the ways people will try to nickel and dime you.
Dude, I feel like nickel and dime to death, man. And it's
Yeah.
even more than that. I mean, you're talking, $500 here, $1,000 there, and people just act like it's nothing. I mean, I've literally
Take down
had
the
people...
sex swing there. Why is that up?
Yeah.
I need to get rid of that. And that's going to cost
I mean,
another $30.
I thought that was in the contract. That comes with a house, you know?
You thought it would up the price. but
Right. That
apparently
was in
not-
the listing photos.
Apparently,
I mean, geez.
not everybody wants mirrors on their ceilings, but
Wow.
that's. Yeah, I had to.
dude.
Right.
Well, we were taking.
I mean, Pierce, I see you're going to have to patch up these glory holes before you move.
Oh, jeez. Wow, mine were funny. You just went to a horrible, mean place.
Damn.
When we were removing the punching bag stuff, I was holding that, and I was like waiting for him to undo it from the ceiling because I was like, "Well, when are you gonna let me hold it? It's so light." He had undone it. And I'm like, "That's it." Like it wasn't even.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
Dude,
anyway, it
it's
was kind of
muscles,
interesting.
bro.
But a lot of these things where you see your friends' real true colors come through in a move, because that is, if you've asked for help or if you're getting close to a move. Now, Red, he had a lot of things going on, but you start to see, wow, is this guy, he hasn't been coming around me too much,
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't I heard from him in a while? Oh, maybe it's because he knows I'm moving, dude.
Oh, yeah.
But we've
Or the guy with the truck that's just like, oh, dude, the truck's in the shop this week.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
what a
wow,
coincidence.
Damn, the
What a
week I'm moving,
quinkydink.
huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Hmm.
I don't know, just little things. And it's not just on the people that are trying to be covert and secret squirrel and not come around, but it's also hard on you because you feel like you don't want to look like, you don't want to be in that position where you're asking for some
Of
help,
course. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. I'm not good at asking for help. And
Yeah.
I didn't really ask anybody for help. I asked Pierce and I asked maybe another one or two people, but I ended up hiring a moving company out of pocket, which in hindsight was definitely worth it.
It's a classy move too. You've reached a pinnacle in life where you're a man of means, and you actually hire people instead of just relying on your serfs as your buddies. You know,
right? Yeah,
and then
I'm drinking a drink with a umbrella in it as work,
and you're watching them.
Pierce lift that.
There was a point. There was a point
just
where
move it a little that way. Please.
Well, and it's also interesting that a guy who has such a hard time asking for help, but yet he in life needs so much. You know?
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. Dang. But when I was there yesterday, you just have so much going on, and I was like, well, let's make sure we put the gas cap in the U-Haul and do all these things.
Oh yeah, I left the gas cap off just because my mind is like is like 20 steps ahead. I need to do this. I need to do that, and then I forget to put the gas cap by.
I do stuff like
that.
like
stupid stuff like that, or like when I get stressed out, my main thing is my keys go.
Dude, I was just going to bring that up
my
when we worked
keys
together.
Disappear, man.
You always used to leave your keys on my desk.
Yeah.
And I wonder how long it's going to take for he knows that. I'm like, well, I'm leaving work. I better go give him his keys.
But at least he wouldn't mess with me and like hide the keys somewhere and then just drive me.
Well,
like there are people that would do that.
That's how you know he's a good friend.
Well, I hate that feeling of. But I have a friend of mine that he's very notorious for leaving his keys behind or locking them in the car. When I've ever done it, it's the worst feeling. So that.
This leads into our topic a little bit because one of the things I do, again, to fabricate my reality, maybe even spin it to others, and now I've bought into it myself, is that I just don't make too many mistakes. Like, I don't think I make too many mistakes.
Oh,
and
wow.
now, obviously, I'd like to say...
I think that outfit choice today was a mistake, but
now we're trying to balance out
damn.
Dude, first of all, there's no accident that my shorts have a Van Halen symbol, as do my shirt. So that was premeditated, and I know that garners probably a hint of jealousy. Like when you when you know that somebody is that put together. And so one of the things in my reality that is probably fabricated is that I'm like, whenever somebody says something that's just a little off-putting or derogatory, I always just write it off like another jealous.
Yeah.
Another jealous.
Yeah,
another jealous. Dude, I heard that. Yeah, that was something that Jennifer, what's her name, said to Zach Galifianakis. That was such a funny one.
You should be off-putting.
Yeah, he was like they were talking. She said something insulting, and he said to her, "That's very off-putting," and she said, "You should be off-putting." But it only works if the guy's heavy and obese.
Right, not an Adonis.
Not in a physically fit person.
Not an Adonis.
But anyway, the point is like I've created this idea of myself that's probably not realistic. I mean, it's probably not as perfect as I really am. I want to interject some humility in that, thus the name of the show maybe, but we use that tongue-in-cheek because I realize we're not really heroes and we're not really that humble. But in my mind, if I were to accept all the flaws in my person, I'd be leaving the house as a wreck. So guess what? I think, that was a good clothing choice. I have both Van Halen shorts and Van Halen t-shirt. And by the way, that was a good point I made yesterday when I had an argument about the war or whatever it was. And then I think, I was on something there. But you also have to be realistic at some point and really look at things. But if you do that too much, I mean, you want to be, I don't know, you want to find a balance.
But I think that's probably the job of your friends is to bring you back down to reality, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're,
not like and I think that's a difficult thing for younger generations because there's been this protection of these kids where they could have had a learning moment where they had a true and severe ball busting that set them back and made them look at themselves hard. But as we get older, my friends are who my friends are. It's like I've already got a good balance of who my friends are, so I'm probably not in a situation as much as I was younger where I'm now acquiring new friends. So it's up to my friends that I already have, and we've probably reached a balance at some point. It's some really profound things I think we're kind of getting into. I'm sure that somebody listening in their car, they might have just pulled over to make sure that they are really taking in what we're saying.
There's that delusion coming back right there.
Well, and see, that's how I do. That's how I get by. Do you ever have that, Red? Do you have like any things that you convince yourself of that are reality or you share with others that is just maybe a little white lie, but it makes life better for everybody? Not to put you on the spot.
Like with a person's character or
Or
like,
anything,
I
any
guess
situation.
anything.
Yeah.
I know sometimes when and I hate to say this word, is assume, and sometimes that can come into play when you're with a long-term friend or relative, and you're like, okay, this is how they will react to this behavior or this scene or whatever it is, and certain friends. I have an old friend of mine who came from Pensacola, Florida, and he has like a very Southern style accent. He's very proud of being from the South, and I'll never forget, like, I was helping him one day working on his car, and he was wearing his cowboy boots with shorts, and I always thought that was funny because where I come from, that's not usual attire, but
that's funny. I agree with that.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, oh yeah, you're wearing your cowboy boots with your. So, anyways, he's working on his car, right, with his cowboy boots, and I thought it was strange. Whatever, we got the job done, but we're all dirty, messing with the car, and we clean up, and then later that evening, we end up going out with other buddies. This is back in our 20s, out to a bar. We were single at the time, so you like want to dress nice and put on some like maybe your best jeans or your maybe second best jeans and a nice shirt and take a shower. You smell good, whatever. Well, he's wearing the same cowboy boots. And the reason why this comes into play is because we're young guys, and sometimes the machismo gets to you if a guy pumps his chest, like kind of bumps you kind of weird at the bar. It's because it's busy. Well, I'll never forget. He was just like, hey, man, you disrespected me. You stepped on my boots. And I was like,
Oh, damn.
What, like to another person?
Oh.
Not to me, but to another person. And so they were going to get into a little bit of fisticuffs. And I'm like, this isn't worth it.
Right.
And he's like, but where I'm from, it's disrespectful to step on another man's boots without apologizing first.
Well, you can't. How disrespectful can it be when hours ago you were wearing those with shorts?
That's
dude?
my point was, we were just working on your car in those boots. Who cares? Like, if those were nice boots, you wouldn't be like, we're doing a dirty job on them. Those are your like.
Those aren't your going out boots. Those are
right. Those
aren't your ostrich alligators, dude.
Yeah.
Those are.
I mean, if I knew he had paid $500, like say for a nice pair of boots, and those were like his fancy boots for going out, and somebody stepped on them, I'd probably be more like, dude, you can't step on another man's boots. But he was changing the car oil with these boots on. How like not? But it's just so like I would almost sometimes play in on his a little bit of like Southern ego a little bit, because I'll never forget, we were in this place we were living had this van that people could pay $5 and they would take you home leaving the bar. And we were sitting in this van. We were waiting for a couple more people. We had no idea who they were. Anybody could use this van to take you home. And I remember this guy was sitting there. You could definitely tell he was intoxicated. And I purposely said, hey, man, where's that accent from? You sound like you're from somewhere else. And I said, it sounds like it's from Pensacola. And my friend from Pensacola was like right next to me. And again, this is this like how he is. It's kind of his little bit of Southern ego. He's very proud of being from Pensacola. And the guy, I couldn't even play this any different. This unknown guy, I had no idea who he was. This drunk, he goes, Pensacola's for pussies. And I just started laughing because my friend now can't let that go.
Right.
It's like, how dare you degrade my home city? And I'm just laughing because I'm
Dude,
like,
Red does a pretty good Southern accent. Did you notice that?
Right.
But I will say, too, in a way, I was very quick to scoff at the shorts and the boots. But on the other hand, dude, I'm starting to win me over. Not necessarily the guy, but I'm like, that's kind of badass.
But I'm saying, yeah, it's kind
Just
of
to
like
not
a Dukes of
care.
Hazzard
Yeah.
moment,
You
right?
just don't care
Yeah.
to that extent, dude.
I mean, it's right up there with like superheroes where you can see their boots all the time. You know, you ever notice that superheroes always tuck their pants into their boots? And when you're a kid, you're like, well, that's badass. And when you have shorts, then you're going to see the whole boot, you know? So that in a way is, I'm like, wow.
I mean, you're really proud of your boots. You
Yeah,
want people
yeah.
to see the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Your boots are a really important part of, you're telling people these are boots. Like they're not, because when the pants are covering them, you can still tell they're boots. But when you really can see the whole boot, and you're like, oh, that is a boot. You know, that is definitely a boot.
Yeah, I just used to like playing on him because I would know there's certain things that would bother him if I ever brought up something degrading about his town or from being from the South. And our other friends that weren't from the South would do the same thing to him. And, you know, just like me being from a state that's very sunny and whatever, some of the guys that were from up north would make fun of me because because I would say, oh, it's cold outside, and they're like, it's only 50. Where we're from, it's already spring going into summer, so they'd make fun of me for like not know how to drive with snow, all that other stuff.
I think that's something too that people use to fabricate their reality is they identify with something and it becomes a part of who they are. So it very easily could be set them off. And once they've put themselves out there as this representative of Pensacola, then it's...
Which the worst, or I think the most prevalent example of that is sports fandom.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right? You go to the
insane.
game and somebody's wearing like the opposing team's jersey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this or that. And that's just like fighting words right there. And I think I kind of used to be like that as a kid. The older you get, you realize these guys don't care about you. Like you're wearing this shirt for your team and you're going to fight over it or something. And these guys literally will go play for the other team that pays them $10 more.
Yeah. And they're not
you're right. And you're like, here you are wearing this guy's name on the jersey that when you liked him, and now he's playing for the team.
Right. He's got no loyalty to you. And here you are willing to like fight to the death with some guy because he's wearing an opposing team's jersey.
Well, and I know there's going to be some listeners that are going to take maybe issue with this, but if you've ever been, as you get older, maybe sophisticated is the wrong word, but to that meaning, you're sitting there with people watching a game. And the guy's like, how could you make that call right there? And you're critical of the coach, critical of what the defensive coach is doing, critical of how they called it, yelling instructions or feedback like you're a commentator. And you realize somebody has fabricated a reality in just this moment because they're really engaging this game in a very personal way. And they have no connection to any of this. These people have no idea. Just because you painted yourself blue and doesn't mean your team's going to win any harder. Dude, it's like, and then they get so upset. People get so angry. And I remember when I was younger, I'd get like that. But it seems like as I've gotten older, I just notice I see people get really upset when you're watching a game. The Super Bowl, and I'd watch people and we're watching the game from home. Neither of these two teams are even your team, but you're still getting fired up. It's very interesting how we operate in these delusionary states, I think.
I'm not a true like sports guy, but I would probably agree with Beige that when our colleges used to play each other, that's probably I would say the pinnacle of sports rivalry of like you had to wear your college.
Yeah,
you know, like most of the time if you went to a game now, you probably wouldn't even wear your college shirt. You probably just wear whatever you're going to wear. Back then it was like you had to wear the shirt, the shorts, the hat.
Well, it's part of a whole day festivity.
Yeah.
You got party and do this and
I
the
remember,
game. And like the game is almost secondary.
Yeah,
you know?
it is actually.
I remember a guy back in high school. He was an upperclassman and we were having like camp for practice. And he got in front of us all and he said, you guys have a homecoming game coming up. We're playing so-and-so. Do you realize they're going to be like stepping on our grass? You know, they're going to be coming to our field, all right? And they're going to be challenging us. I'm already pissed. Like, and you're thinking, dude, that's okay. Now at the time I was all fired up. I'm like, you're right, dude. Who do these a-holes think they are? I'm getting fired up just listening to this guy. And by the time he was done, I felt like we needed to go maybe murder these guys. It's like, so some of that, but I think there's a point in your life where you're like, I might be a little overly invested in this. It's maybe we've crossed the healthy border.
Well, and then the thing with the sporting events is like, oh, this ref, you suck and everything. Dude, I'm sure you suck at your job too.
Yeah.
Like if I went to your job and saw you do something, I'd be like, you suck. That's how you wrote that report. You suck. Yeah. You know?
You sent that email that way, you little
bitch.
Well, that's funny because some of my wife's memories she remembers of being a little girl. She played softball as of her dad getting kicked out of the softball games for yelling at the ref for like not calling necessarily plays against her, but like her team. He would get upset and like say stuff to the ref, and the ref would kick him off the field. So she has good memories of like one of his friends always being there to like update her dad on what was going on.
Oh, dude, I would go to these games, these kids' softball games when my daughter played softball. And this is 8 years old, 9-year-old kids. There's a ref, you know, or an umpire umping the game. And half the time, these guys are just volunteers.
Yeah, they're doing it as a side
and
job.
the other half the time, they're just making maybe a little bit of money, you know, but it's a side job.
Maybe their kid plays free or something.
But they're getting harassed by people in the audience, you know, parents. And I remember one time this guy just had enough. He's like, you think you can do better? Come on out and do it, you know? And he had
That's
like
awesome.
some parents come out and call balls and strikes, you
That's
know? Because it's
hilarious.
just like, dude.
That's funny, dude. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you are under the scrutiny of thinking, if you thought somebody could be heckling you at your job, think about it. That guy's, I mean, maybe he's volunteering, but what if he's getting paid either way? And then you're doing that in front of everybody else, and you just expect them to just...
And especially kids, dude,
Yeah.
you know? Like, if that was me and I was the ump, I'd probably let him call balls and strikes, and then I would stay there and I'd like I'd give it back to him the way he gave it to me, you know?
Yeah, I don't go down to your job and tell you when you screwed up on your calls, you know?
Right. But I think some people live in that delusion because it motivates them. Like, I've seen that in myself. There's some people that exist, and maybe I do this to a certain extent, where you want to feel like you've been slighted, or you want to feel like you've been victimized in some way. And not to feel like a victim and wallow in it, but to motivate you to, I'll show you. Like, it gives you that motivation to be
The underdog.
like a person of action at that point. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, definitely.
So some people use that as a mental mechanism to motivate themselves.
No,
Like-
I agree. There was this instance because you just brought it up of my kid doing soccer for the first time, co-ed soccer, I think at the age of 5. My son had never played soccer before, and of course, some of the other kids have never played soccer before in the field. So when you're actually going to a game, this is the first time they're actually putting some of this, quote, skills that we've tried to teach them. Again, volunteer. I kind of helped on the side because I was like, okay, no one else was volunteering. So
Somebody's
you
gotta do
stepped up, right? Well, one of the things I found was so frustrating is because, and you know, because you probably happened to you, is the kids are like, okay, you're going to be the guard and you'll be the center and blah, blah, blah. They don't, in all honesty, they don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
And then they kick the ball and then they think, oh, I did great. And you're like, you kicked it the wrong way, Johnny. Kick it that way. So I found myself on the sidelines trying to actually, my wife, I remember her bringing it up saying, oh my God, you look like so upset and so angry. And I go, no, who else was going to stand up? Because these kids are just kicking the ball in every direction. Yeah. It's like a pinball.
You assume the role.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, these little kids don't understand. And the crazy part is I'm not like a big sports guy. Like I need to watch a game somewhere. So to me, I'm like thinking I'm the last one that's going to say anything. But all those parents were just sitting there on the sidelines and these kids are like cats kicking the ball in any direction. There's no rhyme or reason. And I'm just like, okay, Johnny, kick it that way. That's the way of our goal. Kick it that way, buddy.
Is there a point at which you start to lose any inhibition when you're talking to somebody else's kid? I would imagine at the very beginning you're not yelling at Johnny because Johnny's not your son, but I would say maybe 3 minutes into it you're like, Johnny, and you're really letting Johnny have it. I mean, is there a transition, or does it automatic for you? You're just able to kind of lay into the kid.
You have to assume that little Johnny's parents are there.
Okay.
But how do you put it? You're not saying anything degrading, if that makes sense. You're just like, Johnny, you're doing good. You're my big kicker. Just make sure you kick it that direction. I remember too, my wife brought it up to me. The next year I was like asked to be assistant coach because I guess they saw me on the side. And again, I'm no like soccer like genius, but
they saw your potential.
I guess it was kind of like, hey, if you're going to be on the sidelines, maybe you can help coach. Okay, sure. And when you teach these kids, and I remember, on practice, they come after school. Here they come to a park, and we set up some cones in the quasi field, and we're just kicking the ball into the goal. Some airplane went by, and then these kids, a couple of the boys were just like, oh, look at the butterflies. I don't know why I said this, but I was just, there's no time for butterflies. Watch the ball.
we ain't got time to bleed.
My wife was like, man. So wow. I guess with the voice,
that's pretty sad, dude. Because if you think about it, they always say, take time and smell the roses. This kid, the cliche is, hey, take time and look at the butterflies. Yeah. And you're just like, there's no time for butterflies out here.
You wanted that kid to rub dirt on his face, dude, and be a warrior.
You want to die for war. While you're looking at butterflies over here, Johnny's going to be pushing up daisies over there.
He's like
some other kid.
He's like 5. Is that how you're going to get a scholarship?
Yeah.
Huh? Is that how?
Yeah. Is that how you're not going to go pro? You're not going to be pro looking at butterflies, you little bitch.
And believe you me, I am the last person to talk about soccer. And it was just funny because I guess I got a little passionate about it, but it just came out.
I'm going to say something Beige fixes me. There's a really cool friend of mine, and she listens, and she said, I was in the car and you guys were talking about A-holes and B-holes. Now, I put it in the title of the show. And I hope that sometimes people look at it maybe, but then she's like, I couldn't listen to it because you guys were going on. And I apologize, but the dynamics between the three bros and Heroes of Humility is one such that as it was adopted from our lunches, can occasionally get colorful. And so I hope that even though our listeners may have little ones present, that most of the time we deliver something that makes you laugh first and foremost. But I apologize, Kimmers, because there might be something in here that, we wouldn't want your little ones to listen to.
Maybe we'll do a disclaimer rated M for mature.
It's just not that kind of, it's hard to keep the podcast. You're never going to be able to please 100% of the people, and believe me, nobody knows that better than Heroes of Humility, except for, Beige, but at least that's what I've heard his ladies say. But
no, there's a delicate weave to web. Sometimes like you have conversations with people, and if they're older, it's funny how your brain tells you maybe you need to limit your cuss words a little bit, or if you're talking to grandma, you're not going to drop F-bombs and A-bombs.
And I think there's people out there that maybe they're incapable of limiting their cuss words. You say they probably wouldn't make a good coach, you know what I mean?
That would be a bad...
there's people we probably have worked with previously that's like, dude, every other word is the F-bomb.
You're right.
And I hate to get into this esoteric stuff about maybe our experiences with work issues, but when you're doing like a training scenario, and there's one person that's supposed to be the assailant in this training scenario. And so they don the quote unquote and proverbial red man suit. And that allows them to have some protection, because if you hit them in that, they can't feel it as much, right? But you don't want somebody putting on the red man suit that is a complete maniacal nut job, because when they lose their composure and they don't recognize the nuances of an altercation, they don't realize, they are beating the tar out of me and I should react accordingly. They just kind of lose their mind, and then the training devolves into like anarchy, and you have people just like beating on each other. But you've seen that, and I wonder that with people that don't have inhibitions, or they can't read the room, and they're just using profanity like it's no big deal, and you're like, dude, consider the audience, Anyway, I digress, but. One of the things that I thought of when I was thinking of this topic is that I sometimes have thoughts that I would want to use as, maybe to explain why I might be a little bit late. So I would be, let's say, going for something, meeting up with some people. We're having an office move or something, and I want to make sure that I'm helpful during this office move. And there's a person in a wheelchair. They are moving across the street. And then I start thinking, well, maybe I could incorporate an explanation that...
You're going to blame the guy in the wheelchair.
This guy was in a wheelchair, and traffic was blocked back several blocks. And then...
Dude, why do you put that?
I know. Let's not overreact to that. That's Eddie Van Halen. You just ruined my story. But the point is like, I thought of all these ridiculous excuses that I could put on this poor handicapped person that never knew. But then I started thinking, there's no victim.
He's just living.
No victim.
This guy's just living his life. Doesn't even know Pierce exists, and Pierce is incorporating this guy.
I'm using him in my web of lies,
right,
to make it look like it's not a big deal that I'm late. Well, I had to be late because I had to get out and help the guy. He couldn't get across the street. He needed some new oil in his wheel bearings for his wheelchair. It was too hot. He needed some water. Then I took him to get a little bite to eat and got him home. Wow. And I start thinking of all these things that I could, but then all of a sudden this rational side, again, like the red man wouldn't be capable of this, a crazy guy, but you start to realize I can't do any of those things because that's insane and it's not the truth. Sometimes it scares me, the thoughts that I have, and maybe it's the desperation because of the life I live where I'm always just doing things at my own drum. I'm always beating to the own sound of my drummer, where time for me is this ethereal thing. Doesn't have like these exact precision, and I always think I can do more in the amount of time I have. It's never that I mean to be rude to somebody, but I always think I can do all of these things and still help this person that I really do want to help. My intentions are good.
Well, I think you view
delusion.
Time, I think you view time as a suggestion. I think that's how you view time.
Yeah.
And like with Pierce,
time's not the boss.
If I ask him like, "Hey, can you be over this time?" I just assume we're talking about half hour.
Oh my God, that's true.
I bake that in. So if I really want him there at 9, I just tell him,
you're gonna
come on over 8:30, and then we
you're gonna
9,
hear something that I don't think you've ever heard me say to you, but you're right.
Whoa! Wow!
And I felt bad because yesterday I was at least 30 minutes.
Well, dude, you were helping me out, so I didn't care.
Yeah, that's true.
It was 29 minutes.
I was at least 30 minutes late, and I just felt so bad. But
and you told told me something about some guy in a wheelchair. That was weird.
Yeah, I feel bad now. Now you know my excuse. But I can't help it, dude. These thoughts come to me. What am I supposed to do? Just completely. So I'm sharing them. That's another nice thing about having a podcast is you can tell people these are all the dangerous, evil thoughts I've had. Right. But I also want credit from all the listeners and from you guys that I didn't do that. Like, I didn't actually use those excuses. Mm-hmm. So I want
you didn't. You're just like, dude, I'm going to be late. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. Like, there was no...
I'm basically just saying I am a turd. Love me anyway, and I will still be there. And you know what? I think maybe... I was telling you a game I went and watched Deion Sanders play once. And I know that probably half our audience hates him and half maybe like him, or maybe there's like 25% of people that won't admit it, but 20. And he's kind of a hard person to like because he's the very opposite of. He has no humility, right? But I saw a game where he played. It was against the Cardinals, and I was disappointed because they had Moose Johnston, tight end. They had Troy Aikman at the time. They had all these people that if you were going to go and watch Dallas play, this would be the perfect time because they had all these sweet players. And Deion never came out. And I was like, yeah, damn, I wanted to see. Dude, I saw people in the crowd being so ballistic when he showed up. They had already done their practice kicks, special teams, and people were warming up. And the game was about to start, and he comes walking out onto the field. There was people yelling for him, positive, and there was people negative. And there was one guy who was able to like make everybody else sound like crickets because he was so volatile and vitriol with his hatred for Deion Sanders. And he said he was calling him all these ugly names. Everybody got so quiet, and all you could hear was this nut job. And Deion stopped in mid-walk, and he never looked at the guy, but he couldn't not do anything. But in classic Sanders, je ne sais quoi, whatever, he just stopped and he scratched the back of his leg in the direction where the guy was. And then he just kept walking. And it was kind of funny, but he had such a command of everything going on. And then I watched him play this amazing game, and it was the last one he played where he really did get hurt. He hurt his toe. I saw that game where he hurt his toe, and he could close on people and all that. And it was so fun to watch him play. He could control the reality of everybody watching him. There were people that hated him and people that didn't, but he came out late. He didn't make any excuses. There were certain people you could tell when you watch a game on TV, you can see the dynamics between the players, but not like when you're really there. When you're really there, you can see the players that really liked him and the players that were like, oh, here we go again. Now it's the Deion Sanders show. But there was people that loved him in spite of it on his team. It was just interesting to watch.
So you're saying, again, I'm not a football guy, but I would imagine because of Deion Sanders' talent, he was allowed to get away with certain behaviors, say a less qualified player.
That's kind of how I came into Beige's move yesterday.
Oh,
like I was late,
you were the star,
but I delivered.
Was the Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I was basically the Deion Sanders of Beige's move. Right. And I was
the guy in the stands yelling and
cursing. Yeah. But when I got there, dude, I saved millions of dollars on this air conditioning thing. I also helped move a lot of stuff. There were times where even the movers were like, "Holy shit, is this guy? How can he just do this?"
This guy, we're gonna hire this guy. See if he wants to run our company.
Yeah, they signed autographs on the way out.
Yeah, they were probably scouting me. They're probably gonna send scouts to check me out because they saw, wow, this guy can lift so much with just one hand.
They're gonna give you a tryout, dude.
Yeah, give me a tryout.
Maybe give you a few boxes.
I could just be a walk-on. Yeah, I might just be a walk-on. Mm-hmm. I don't even need to try out. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Pretty interesting podcast we had today.
Well, I mean, I know that like I think it's being socially aware, and obviously if Pierce is a little late, like the fact remains he's helping me out on his Saturday and he's being a buddy. So it's like, why would I be an idiot and be like, dude, you're 15 minutes late to spending your Saturday with me to help me move? Like, what kind of a douche would do something like that? You know what I mean?
That's nice.
Right?
That's true.
I mean, so you got to be...
I always try to here's how I should survive in life. I should make everything I do kind of like giving charity. And then I can be late to everything because people will be like, well, he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart, even though he was 3 hours late. Look how hard he's working, Mm-hmm. And sometimes in my delusion, I think that's what I strive for, is I really try to be like the Deion Sanders of everything and I realize this is insane because even Deion Sanders is not as much as I'm hyping him up to be, but I don't know. This is ridiculous. I think we've gone off somewhere here, but I think we're getting to a good time frame. I hope I didn't interrupt anybody, but I know we were going to do a round of What Would You Do? I'm trying to remember what mine was, but I think that
Mr. Beige has one on
came
deck.
out pretty hot with one right away.
I didn't even. I just mentioned a situation that I just came across. I wasn't necessarily anticipating
Yeah,
it
you
would
were
be a
bragging,
What Would You Do?
yeah.
But
And this is the,
looks
song,
like-
the intro for What Would You Do scenario. So Beige will go
yeah, I was
first.
saying, looks like Pierce is queuing up the button there. So yeah,
Yeah, I like to be
Didn't
able to. I feel like our professionalism in our podcasting is moving at a snail's pace, but it is moving. You know, it's slowly and then when we get video, people are going to be like,
Oh yeah,
wow, this is enjoyable.
right.
You
I
know?
can't believe these handsome guys have never done video.
I
before.
can't
That's
believe
what
how
they're gonna say.
handsome. I mean, they say beauty and brains, but it's all in one package,
Yeah.
you know?
Right, pretty humble.
And then they're going to be like, I don't understand the name of the show because they're called Heroes of Humility, and I have witnessed no heroism and no humility either by audio or video. So what's happening?
Right,
You know?
exactly.
But yeah, you had one pretty good. And while you talk, instead of listening to you, I will think about my What Would You Do? And then Red will.
So, I mean, just kind of a funny situation. I had I had gone back to my house today to take care of a few things. At the time, right before I left, I had to use the restroom. So I went to the main bathroom. There's a bathroom in my house that we designate for guests, which, I don't know, you guys probably have the same thing. But I go to this bathroom to use the restroom. I open the lid, and there's a deuce sitting in the toilet.
Whoa.
And I'm
Thank
like...
you. Wait, I
you
know
know,
that wasn't you,
dare
right?
you.
First of all, I'm like, well,
Did I do
you
that?
know, my daughter's not here, and that's weird because she's usually the one that leaves the deuce in the toilet. You know, my 6-year-old.
Damn, should
Oh,
we
thank
put her
you.
name out on the podcast so we can
No,
identify
that's
her?
my 6-year-old,
Okay.
not my
All
older
right.
ones.
Okay.
And so I'm like,
Her
And then I-
reputation doesn't need to be smeared.
yeah.
yet.
And then I got to thinking, who used my restroom yesterday? And
Oh
I think
my
Pierce might
God.
have used it.
What? I would never do that. Yeah, I wasn't even at your house.
And one of the movers had used it, and
Oh my God.
you know, he's like, hey, dude, can I use your restroom? And of course, I mean, I'm not going to say, no, you can't use my restroom. Hold it, buddy. You know, of course,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like,
I
yeah,
always
go
ask
ahead.
somebody, is it going to be number one or number two?
Well, the assumption is it's a number one, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
it's
civil
always the
assumption.
That's we live in a civilized world,
and
right?
you should be doing your number twos in a predictable fashion if you are eating properly, which should be somewhere between your morning constitution and the evening.
Right.
And so, yeah, to just aberrantly be taking number twos
But what if-
willy-nilly.
What if you're a mover and you had hot Cheetos and a big gulp?
There you go. You shouldn't be doing that. That's shame
yeah,
on
you
you.
should plan it out.
Yeah.
properly.
Let her rip, bro.
In fact,
Let
maybe
her
you should
rip.
fast before you just
So
start
you know,
moving.
I go in there and I'm
This
like,
is ridiculous,
I'm like,
dude.
wow, I cannot believe.
Yeah, I
somebody
would
left-
report this to the
Somebody
admin.
left something in my toilet, dude. And I'm like, that's gross, you know, and I flush it down. But see, the thing is, you know, I hadn't given him a positive review yet, but I gave him a pretty hefty tip before I
Yeah,
realized.
here's a tip for pooping in my toilet.
I know. Before I realized this went down. And I'm like, oh man, I gave him a pretty nice tip, and this guy just left a deuce in my toilet. Like, and I don't know how to take that. I'm like, did you make a mistake and you thought you flushed it down and maybe it didn't make it, or was that just kind of a big FU? You know,
I
was
mean,
it
if
just
we
kind
all-
of a like, you know what I'm saying? Is it like an intentional disrespect,
Yeah, probably not.
or is it just like somebody
No.
thought that they? But see, me, if I had gone to a house and done, first of all, I wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, you're...
But second of all, if I had, I'm making sure that it's flushing down. Like, I'm not just gonna,
no,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
another. Oh, that's huge. That's right. He left it.
You just like you maybe hit the thing and you assume that it, but I'm gonna visually
Yeah,
certify
you need to do an
that it's
ocular
gone,
pat down
you
in
know?
that situation.
No,
before
Right.
but then
You
leave.
don't just assume, dude.
Then you get into the detectiveness, and it might be a little gross, but like, was there paper in there? Because did he just drop one as a symbol of, as an FU to like, hey, you know,
Or I shook this guy's
worked him too
hand.
hard
I shook
and-
his hand,
Yeah.
and did he not use toilet paper?
Did
you
he
know?
not wash his hands?
Did he not? And if he didn't wash it, if he didn't use TP, did he?
What
he
other
probably didn't
things?
wash his
Yeah.
hands. You know, and here we
Yeah.
go.
oh,
What other
that's what I'm
germs
saying.
is
You
he
start
introducing
thinking
into
about
my
it, like,
environment?
Yeah.
Dude,
like-
this is Thunderdome, and
So-
you didn't, and you so you basically tipped a guy to poop in your toilet. Yeah, you
Pretty
gave him
much,
money.
dude.
Yeah.
And
You paid.
now I'm like, you know, you can't take that money back. I mean, do I call him up and say, hey,
give me
I
some
gave you
of that.
$75, but
I'm gonna need
today
at
I
least
kind of
20
noticed
back.
something, so I'm going to need
I'm
to
gonna some of
deduct
that
25 from that, buddy.
Wow, that's a rough one.
Because,
So
yeah.
that's your what
I
would
have
you do?
DNA swabbed
So,
it. And
what would we
First
do
of
if
all,
we were
I
in
guess,
this
what would you do if you encounter that situation? And what would you do? I mean, do you guys have a particular... How would you handle it if somebody, a guest, had tried to use the restroom? You don't just give them free reign of any bathroom in the house, right? You have to direct
Hell
them to
no.
a particular...
Yeah.
And if you live in your house, do you have a designated number 2 bathroom?
You wanna
Like,
go
even
right first?
you personally, like, you won't go in any bathroom in the house. It's like, this is kind of the designated one here.
Look at as Red pauses to reflect upon this profound question. I see him searching the heavens for the virtuous answer. So I'm very curious to hear what Red's going to do here.
Well, I would say you have a favorite. I definitely have a favorite. One that I choose because you make sure you have all the supplies that are perfectly needed.
And you don't want to be cramped.
Well, correct. And then plus you don't want to be bothered. You know, for me, that time is sacred. Like it's my quiet time.
So
Dad,
you
Dad.
have a
Yeah, exactly.
you have a favorite restroom, or you have a favorite restroom for the guests? You mean?
Well, for myself.
Oh, okay.
But I guess like when you're, I mean, most people have at least maybe 1 or 2 bathrooms in their place.
And I don't want to be
So
rude,
that's a
but and I'm
guest
sorry I
bathroom?
digress here just a second. But do you have like a normal toilet, or is yours a little higher? The one that you like?
Mine, I purposely put in higher elongated
I
bowls.
knew it, dude. That makes sense. And
'Cause
I
I-
don't mean to fixate on your giantness, but that makes sense.
No, but what I guess...
So, like, my feet wouldn't be touching the ground.
Yeah. You wouldn't even be near the ground.
No, I mean, I hate to get so... We're going to delve into this topic.
Sorry.
But if you
This fascinates me, dude.
if you're a bigger person...
Sorry.
And you go to, say, a hotel or, say, to a place...
Yeah, your knees are next to your ears as you're trying
And
to...
it's a standard toilet, like the bowl's not elongated, and it's, I guess, standard height was lower than average.
Yeah, fruit basket.
It does feel
trying to hit a little tiny...
you're going in a bucket.
Trying
Like
to hit
it's
a
not very
tiny hole.
comfortable. And then you kind of have to
Like
weigh like which part of you's on the rim or whatever type of thing because it's
Trying to hit a
there's
golf
not
hole.
a lot of surface area to support you.
Damn, that's what it looks like when he's going to the restroom. It looks like a tiny golf hole on the green. Yeah,
Hole
that's
in
why.
one.
Because when
Yeah,
you're a
got it.
giant, just think about how everything looks, dude. Everything's tiny to you. So you're just standing over. You're standing.
So,
like,
Red's got to be perfect.
Yeah, he's like 500 yards above a tiny golf hole, trying to hit that thing.
Well, we could get into higher topics, but I'm saying that
No, it's-
like if I moved into a house, like say I bought my own house,
Yeah.
and they had the regular size, like no, those are coming out. Like I don't like.
Would you make the
I knew
seller
it.
replace those toilets? Or would you do that?
No, it would be something because I'd want to pick it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want it to.
This is
be the higher
awesome,
one.
dude. I'm so
Because-
glad I asked this question. What a
you
good
know-
question, Pierce.
It's very difficult to say, but again, we have a guest bathroom, and that's normally where a guest would use the restroom, right?
Yeah.
I guess to me, to go to Beija's question, is you're talking about another adult that you're not familiar with.
Right.
Because if it's your buddy,
That's a
like
good
if one of
point.
you guys came over to my house and dropped a deuce and didn't flush it, we'd be like, "Yo, what did you do, bro? You killed it in here." We'd make fun of you forever about it, and it'd be a funny story. We take pictures and share it. But if it's another adult that you're not familiar with, you're probably not going to say anything, you know, because that's maybe a little bit embarrassing.
In reality, you probably wouldn't say
But
anything.
like if it's kids, because we have kids come over to our house, and that's my one of my nephews. Make sure you flush it because little kids, they get busy. Oh, hey, somebody called me and I forgot to do it.
They just hit the handle and it doesn't go all the way. Like, I felt like maybe I need to make a sign. Put a sign above the toilet, like visually.
If you can see
visually
it.
confirm.
Yeah, if you can see it, you failed.
It's kind of sad that to me, it's kind of sad that you have to do that. Like you said,
It's just
you think
gross.
about it, right? Like if you think about it, there might have been a time you've done it and you didn't realize it because you thought you flushed it and you shut the top of it, the lid, and you didn't see.
Well, I will say, I got to say something on this though, real quick. I just don't understand how you are. There's so many multitaskings going on in your mind. I'm zeroed in on when I'm in there. I'm in and out. First of all, even in my own restroom, I don't even want to see myself. I don't even want to see my own stuff. In fact, to this day, I'm not even sure I actually go. I just know
you just close your eyes during the whole process.
Yeah, I don't even know what's happening down there. Now, for health reasons, I have visually
You're supposed
inspected.
to. You're supposed to. Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I found that as I've matured and become more sophisticated, I will at least look at my poo. But I do not make it a practice of, you should be pretty focused on what's going on in there so that you can complete the mission and get out without any victims or without any, that there should be, everything should be retained and perfect and hands cleaned, washed, clothes still in the same order. If anything short of that happens, that's horrible to me.
I personally don't understand the people that linger.
I'm a lingerer, I'll tell you.
Sitting
on my
time?
personal toilet. No, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got your perfect toilet.
You're just on your phone, kind of playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, because I told you it's like my quiet time. Like
Yeah,
if I go
a
to my
little
couch and sit
relaxation.
down, there's inevitable some task or something.
Oh,
I mean, I
my
could see that at
gosh.
work.
I feel
I've
so
been
sorry
doing
for
that.
Red.
What time is it? 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm on that sucker till 5.
Dude, I figure the smokers get a 15-minute break, dude. I'm taking my 15.
I love it. I love
I
it.
feel so sorry for Red sometimes because I hear these stories of the guy just trying to find a place to put his extra shoes, trying to find a place to take a peaceful number 2. And he finally gets a place of his own and it's in the toilet, and I'm just like, we need to send help. How do we send help over there? I'm sorry, Mrs. Red. I hope she still listens and doesn't hate me. But anyway, that's, so what would you tell this guy? I mean, if this happened to you, how would you handle it?
You know what? I think you might have to bring it up though. Like, but it's the thing is like he hired this guy.
And he'll
You'll
never
probably
see him
never
again.
Do you
you'll
bring
never
it up
see him again.
in
It's
a
not
review?
worth it.
Would it be a review?
No, that's,
No,
I know for funny. But
No,
that's
I mean,
not,
that would be funny. But like, if it was a young guy or something like that, and say, okay, hey, it was going to take 2 days for you to move, and he came on Saturday,
a repeat
and he
offender?
was going to be coming back on Sunday. You knew, like, say you went back after the movers left, and you saw that little Snickers bar in the bowl, that you were like, I don't want that to happen again if he comes back because they're coming back tomorrow. Like, would you bring it up? Or
I don't think I'd say anything. It'd just be too humiliating, dude, for both of us.
Yeah.
It's hard. I would just not acknowledge it.
Hey, guy, you left a turd in
I
my
mean, how does that conversation go?
Bring it up. Make
Because there's
sure.
probably going to be a denial, dude. Well, I think you use
who's gonna-
there's
yeah.
going to be a
I
denial.
think it was you. We're doing DNA swabs.
That's insane,
just,
though. That's insane for him to deny it.
No, but
because
bring it
there's
up
just
like
no-
this. Like,
you had nothing in your house. He was clearly the only other person.
my bowl's been known to act up. Hey, maybe
No, that's-
just make
yeah.
sure you give it the double.
I'm just making
check.
sure I don't have plumbing issues in
Yeah,
the house.
yeah.
So can you
See,
confirm or deny,
Make
please?
sure you do a double flush.
Maybe that poo came from back.
Maybe
up to
another
the
toilet in the
pipe.
neighborhood, and it just kind of.
Yeah, flush at the
I
same time.
mean, you don't know how
so it-
plumbing
Yeah.
works. It could be all over the place. Who knows where that goes and how it
Exactly.
comes back. Yeah, no, that's insane. I definitely like the idea, and I hope I'm not overstepping and you're done.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But there has to be a restroom just for guests. And the way that I try to set the tone of restroom usage is usually in non-spoken ways. When people that may not be familiar with me, unlike yourselves that you know me well, but people may come here and not be familiar with the intricacies and nuances of Pierce and how he lives. But once they get to know me for just a few seconds, I hope they will come across with the conclusion, we shouldn't take a number 2 in this house. It's not allowed.
I definitely agree because we tend to have a lot of house guests.
You know how you know? Is when you look and you come in here and you guys have seen my restroom. There should be nothing. There should be no
No trace.
germ. You should now. I know people say they can't see germs, but you really cannot see germs in my restroom. And I don't. Now, if you go to a house and you see germs and you can actually see them and you see other things, then I feel like you're kind of inviting somebody to maybe take a number 2. But if you try to keep things nice, I feel like that also sends a message like this is a place where we can't just leave number 2s wherever.
Right. If there's potpourri on the toilet, treat it with respect.
Yeah. If the guy has an acrylic green frame holding a beautiful work of art up on the wall, I probably shouldn't leave a turd in the bowl for others to see. That would be, blasphemous.
I'm not just
Yeah.
going to sully this bathroom
Yes.
here.
That's what makes you wonder if it was done on purpose.
Probably
That's what
not.
I'm like. I'm like, dude, I I don't know. I mean, but that's the delusion that we talked about.
Right.
Like, are we gonna be like, this guy did it on purpose, and now I'm pissed? You know,
I didn't just
Like,
go around angry, thinking everybody's
right?
trying to.
Do you want to just live in an angry world where everything is, because it's a glass half full or half empty? Did he do it on purpose, or did he make a mistake?
Well, did he leave your toilet with half poo or half empty?
It's not like he upper decked,
Jeez.
Now that you would know for
Well,
sure.
you know what? Which one was it? Can you tell me? Because I shook one of their hands yesterday.
Oh.
I can't tell. I'm not going to do that.
Well, he's not going to
listen.
listen. He probably won't know. Well, you'll have to tell me at least offline.
Okay.
But I shook one of their hands, and I thought, and I think I could tell which one it was.
Yeah.
Just from their demeanor, because there was one kid that didn't make a lot of eye contact.
So
and it's the guy.
It was him.
Yeah,
That was
it's the guy that doesn't make eye contact that probably was the violator in this situation. But the other kid that shook my hand, they were both hardworking. They did a great job.
They did a heck
no
of a
complaints.
job, man. Yeah,
And
I
you
mean,
would
I'm just joking about the whole thing. It's
we
a
would
common.
never-
It's a common mistake. I'm fine with it, but I just thought it was funny to see that. And I was like, I just had that initial response, like, "Are you kidding me, dude?" Like,
Maybe we should just do what would you do for once. If somebody has a good one, then we don't have to all come up with something. But that was so good, dude. We couldn't trump that. And I think that's a good place to say.
Okay.
We want to thank our listeners, first of all, because it seems weird to do that. Like, oh, we're some fancy podcast where we really do appreciate it, because at some point we're going to take this serious. And at some point, some of us will have a little more leisure time, and we're actually going to start putting more time into this. And we may get video going and stuff. Feel free to drop us a line or something if you have any thoughts.
Or if there's a topic they want to talk about.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
always invite people to this date. We kind of pick our own stuff, but if we do, if you want, we'll give you a shout out in the show. We'll say, hey, Gian Jackson from wherever he sent us this message.
Gian, huh?
What a weird name, right?
Yeah.
I guess
cousins
we were
to
talking
Dion.
about Dion, so I saw Gian. That's kind of a cool.
Yeah.
What, dude? Somebody.
Gian Landers.
First of all, I want credit if anybody names their kid Gian, because there's no way anybody ever thought of that. Gian. Well,
Right.
how would you spell that? Would it be a J?
I was thinking a G.
I like a G.
Right.
I like a G. What if you had a G and a J together?
Oh, it's
How
Like
crazy
a
would
silent?
that be?
wow.
Yeah.
It's very eloquent.
Yeah.
Dude, it would just be GJEON. Holy.
Wow.
Wow. Well, we've really given people a lot to think about. I think we've probably made brain plasticity is an important thing, and we've helped people's minds be very elastic in how they are trying to come to grips with the reality that we are describing. It's probably making their brains grow a little bit. I don't know. Is that too much to say?
I think we're back to the topic of the show.
Of fabrication, fabricating reality. Wow, good one, Beige. Touche. Okay.
Way to come full circle.
Yeah,
Pierce.
good full circle. Good callback, bro.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Red, thanks for making the drive out again. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening to Heroes of Humility. And this is Pierce signing off with
Beige.
Red.
adios. Peace. If you'd like to support the show, give us some positive feedback. We'd appreciate it. Try to get back to a schedule of every 2 weeks, but thanks for sticking with us. Things have just been busy. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Also, stay tuned. On the horizon at some point, we will be going to video, where you can also find us on YouTube. Okay, that's enough. It's over. Be back ASAP.